This morning, I find myself sitting in the Psalms. My grandma passed away not too long ago, and I was reflecting on the events, the recent events, and just found myself in a more tender space. About a month or two before my grandma passed, my family and I all went up to where she lives in Indiana, and all of the family came in for the holiday, and we were able to laugh, and we were able to play. But my grandma was struggling with Alzheimer's, so they brought her out of the assisted care facility so that she could be at the party. And my kids were loving on her, and all the other grandkids were loving on her, and or great grandkids, because I'm her grandkid. So then I even was able to sit with her, and then the next day after she had left, we took her, or we went and visited her in the assisted living. And I'll be honest with you, I know that those of you that have had loved ones with Alzheimer's, you know how difficult it can be to care for them, to look at them in the face and them not know who you are, to look at the person that you've loved for so many years, and the flicker in their eye just doesn't seem to be the same. And yet I loved talking with my mama. I loved sitting next to her, even though we were caught in an Alzheimer's loop. There was something sacred about that space. For she would be looking over at my dad and mistake him for his dad. She'd say, well, there's Joe right over there, my husband. And my dad would just tenderly smile and gently try to say, well, no, I'm your son. And she would be like, well, I didn't see you there. And then she'd kind of wander over and see me off to her left, and she would catch eyes, and she'd go, well, when did you get here? I was like, well, I've been here for a little bit. Well, I know you. I was like, well, of course you know me, Mama. I'm your grandson. She's like, I know that. And as she's laughing and trying to kind of gloss over the fact that she didn't totally know who I was, she would catch eyes with my daughter, who happened to be standing across the room, and she'd go, well, now who does she belong to? I'd say, Mama, that's my girl. That's Paigey. I said, can you believe it? Can you believe how old she is now? Well, how many kids do you have now? I said, I have 4. She said, well, 4? Well, that's an awful lot of kids. And I said, Mama, you had 5. And she said, I had 5? And I'd list them off for her. I'm like, well, yeah, you had 5. And she goes, well, I guess I did. My goodness. Well, there's my husband right over there. And she'd start the loop back over. Thinking of those last conversations with her, where for about 2 hours it was the same over and over loop, every once in a while with a surprising turn. I was brokenhearted, and yet thankful, confused, and yet so thankful. Because I know my mama is now in a place where she does not experience that type of mental confusion. But the thought of the gift of having that Alzheimer's loop before she died didn't necessarily make the moment of her death easier. I found myself in Psalm 34 this morning, and I was thinking a lot about my mama and about the process of grieving whenever we've lost someone that we love dearly. Even if it wasn't unexpected, the pain is still true. This is what the Lord was reading over me today. Psalm 34, verse 4 and through 8. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all of my fears, from all of my pain. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. This poor man called, and the Lord heard me. He saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him, in the sacred space of an Alzheimer's loop. I was reminded this morning in the sacred space with the Lord of how tender those moments can be. And the way in which I was in pursuit of my mammal in that moment, just wanting to be a part of one more loop, I feel the Lord is in greater pursuit of me. As I was reading this psalm, I couldn't help but get lost in verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. I don't know where you are this week. I don't know if you haven't had a death in your family in a long time, or maybe not ever. I don't know if you've experienced loss recently, or maybe not in a long time. But here is the encouragement that Psalm 38 gave to me that I want you to meditate on through the rest of this week. The Lord is in pursuit of you. Take refuge in him. Let him come into your mental loops. Let him sit by you and encamp you, and to mend your broken heart, to enrapture you with his love, especially when you are crushed in spirit. And if you're not experiencing that type of loss this week, then here's my encouragement for you. Find someone who is, and do for them what you know the Lord will always do for you. I love you guys. Have a good week.